Hello. I'm filming at like 11 o'clock at night again because I'm me. And also because although it is a Sunday and usually we shut at 9 and it's very quiet on a Sunday in the evening, it was really, really busy today, which is great and lovely and really, really fun. But it meant that we shut at 9, but then the whole place was a mess and we had to clear up, and that took until about 11. And now I am filming. So, today, or tonight, or tomorrow morning, realistically, whatever. Top films of the year. I have seen a lot of films. For my 21st birthday, I bought myself the present of getting Odeon Limitless because I was like, I really like going to the cinema. I might as well do it for cheaper. So I have been to the cinema a lot. I go to Screen Unseen as often as I can. That has shown me so many films that I never would have gone to see. So I would definitely recommend looking that up if you haven't heard of it before. So I'm just going to go through my favourites of the year. Before I get on to my favourite 10, I'm going to do honourable mentions. So these are films that were really, really good and I really, really enjoyed, but they're just not quite, I'm not going to go into loads of detail, but they're still very high up there. 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, American Animals, A Star is Born, Avengers Infinity War, A Quiet Place, although the scene in the bathtub was very unbelievable, Ocean's 8, and Crazy Rich Asians. I really enjoyed all of those films, but they're not in my absolute favourites of the year. I'm not doing them in any particular order, although I will tell you which 2 are tied for my favourite film of the year. First off is Get Out. I was very, very late to the party watching this film. I didn't watch it until April this year or something. I don't usually like horror films. They have to be kind of horror with a very specific message or kind of something other than horror for the sake of horror for me to enjoy it. I don't really get on board with this is just gratuitous violence and scare factors. If you like that, fine. I can't sit through it. It freaks me out too much. So Get Out is one of the few horror films that I've seen and really, really loved because it had a very, very clear kind of undercurrent and a thing that it was about rather than just violence for the sake of violence. I'm not going to tell you what it is about or what happens, because for most of these films I think the best way to watch them is to go in without knowing anything and just watch them because someone has said it's good. So I'm saying it's good. Next is The Shape of Water. I saw this at the beginning of this year, which I realise feels like a very, very long time ago. I really love this. I don't think I've seen Guillermo del Toro. I'm probably butchering that name. I haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth, which I know is his kind of big film before that. I know he's done several others, but I don't know what they are, and I don't think I've seen any of them. I really, really loved The Shape of Water. The whole vibe of it, the cinematography of it was gorgeous. The kind of, she was wonderful. She doesn't speak in the film. She's a mute woman, and she was phenomenal. That's some of the best acting I think I've ever seen in my life. And, merman, fish thing. What's not to like? I, Tonya is a film with Alison Janney in it, so of course it is on this list. If you don't know already, I adore Alison Janney. She is wonderful. Basically anything she's in, I probably love it. Her wit is hilarious and she has the most amazing deadpan. So I was already very interested in this film. It's also got ice skating, which I very much like watching because I absolutely cannot do it. I can't ice skate at all. So I'm very jealous. Also, they wear lots of really pretty dresses, and that and ballroom dancing, I love it. I also really liked learning about a person who I didn't really know much about. I quite like those real life where I don't know the history, because often they're very American and they're kind of people who in America are well known, but in the UK you've never heard of them. And people here have heard of Tonya Harding, but I'm only 21, so she was a little bit before my time, and I just didn't know anything about her. I didn't even realise she was a real person until I'd already seen a trailer for the film. So it was really nice seeing the way that they decided to kind of portray the different versions of that, and her ex-husband both having different conflicting stories. Next up are the Marvel movies. For sheer enjoyment factor, Ant-Man and the Wasp was really, really funny. I thought they took all of the things that were okay about Ant-Man and just leaned right into it. Absolutely all the hijinks was right in your face, lots of being really silly without losing any of the kind of small scale, almost. Like, there wasn't any danger of it doing the thing that superhero movies can do, where they're kind of too serious and there's too much going on and the world is going to end every 30 seconds and it's just a little bit too much. So this was really nice. I also really liked seeing more of his daughter, who I really liked in the first film, and I thought his relationship with his ex and her new partner was really, really lovely, and I liked how it was done. I thought it was really funny. Also, Black Panther had to be on this list. It was phenomenal. Absolutely brilliant. It's one of the first times that Marvel's had a villain that feels really fleshed out and kind of not just they're bad because they're bad, but he had real motivations where he had been wronged in that situation, but his follow-through was the thing that was twisted. I would basically die for any of the women in Black Panther. Shuri is just a perfect, precious angel and must be protected. Except, she doesn't need that because she's awesome. I have one other superhero movie on this list, which is kind of Marvel, but kind of not. I only saw it this week, and it's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If you haven't heard about this film, it's a cartoon Marvel movie. It's not in the MCU, it's not connected to the MCU, but it is about Spider-Man, and it's different animation styles. The art is really, really impressive. It felt very much like what superhero movies felt like before the MCU started, where it was a fun adventure and wasn't too overly serious, but it was fun. Obviously, I have to include in this list Coco. It's the Pixar movie of this year. It was beautiful. The animation was amazing. It was clearly a labour of love for a lot of the people working on the film, and something that has been in the works for a long time come to fruition. And also, it's a really, really small thing, but seeing at the end of the film the credits having a thing that says Day of the Dead is a very important day in Mexican culture. If you would like to learn more about Mexican culture and Day of the Dead and the celebrations that happen with it, here are places to look it up. Genuinely made me cry in the cinema. Like, I'd already been crying, it's a Pixar movie, but particularly when representation is a thing that is talked about so much in films, having responsible representation that says, not only is this a movie about this day in Mexican calendar, but also, obviously it's a film and we've taken some liberties, here is a place for you to research the truth, is just really heartwarming. And I'm really, really hopeful that it's gonna start a trend, particularly within films aimed at children, about not only educating and letting children see into other worlds, but also saying, if you want to do more, it's not just a costume and a dress up, here's real information and where to get it. The one before I talk to you about my kind of two tied favourite films is Life of the Party. It's Melissa McCarthy. It's about a woman who, after her husband leaves her, decides to go back to her old college and finish her degree, the same college where her daughter is currently also a final year student. So they're kind of ending their degrees together. It's hilarious. It's lovely. I went to go and see it with my mum, and it's so refreshing to see a woman, she's obviously in her 40s or 50s, she's fat, and she is the centre of the storyline, and she's never made fun of. The film is funny, but it's not laughing at her going back to uni to finish her degree, it's not laughing at her when she has sex, it's not laughing at her being friends with her daughter's friends. All of them, the really easy joke would have been her daughter's friends make fun of her daughter because her mum is around all the time. And actually, all of her daughter's friends think she's awesome because she is. And it's just really, really lovely and so funny. It possibly is my favourite Melissa McCarthy movie. And, like, Spy. So it's very good. The last two films that I have are kind of tied for my favourite film. They're very, very different. The thing they have in common is they're really fucking weird. The first one that I want to talk about is Sorry to Bother You. It's only recently come out in the UK. I saw it at Screen Unseen. It is fucking mental. It's amazing. The trailer, actually, usually I would say avoid trailers at all costs. They tell you far too much about the film and it's all a bad idea, and it's like watching a version of the film that was edited to 3 minutes. Bad. However, the version of the trailer that I have seen is actually really, really good. It starts with this guy, Cash, who is African American, and he's behind on his rent payments. To make up for this and to pay back his landlord, who is his uncle, says, okay, fine, and gets a job as a telemarketer. And the guy next to him gives him this bit of advice and says, basically, if you want to sell a lot of stuff to the people that you're ringing, what you need to do is talk in a white voice. So he tries using his white voice, and it turns out that he has a phenomenal white voice. All of this is overdubbed, so when he speaks with a white voice, it is actually a white actor whose voice is overdubbed on him lip-syncing. And it kind of follows on from this story of him then being really good at selling things. And each time he rings people, his whole desk drops into the living room of whoever he's ringing. It's a very surreal, very anti-capitalist, comedic satire on kind of like working class gig economy jobs. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It is very, very weird. It just is very weird. And as weird as the trailer makes it look, it is weirder. So if weird isn't your thing, maybe don't. But I would highly, highly recommend. I think it's such a fantastic film. Other film that is my kind of like top favourite of the year is A Simple Favour. It is one of the weirdest films I've ever seen. It's like if somebody wanted to make a noir movie and a chick flick and like a heist crime drama all at the same time. Combined with having two of the most attractive women in modern cinema just being gal pals having fun. Maybe not that. It's really complicated. Again, the trailer is not actually terrible. It's a bit weird, and the trailer does make it look a little bit like low budget, which it isn't. I think because of how weird these two films are, the trailer can't give too much away. And I went in kind of expecting this like fun chick flick. Anna Kendrick, who is a stay-at-home mummy vlogger, and Blake Lively, who is this like really high-end fashion businesswoman, become unlikely friends and hang out after they pick up their sons from school. And then Blake Lively goes missing. And Anna Kendrick uses her mummy vlogger platform to kind of start a search for what happened to her. Very different genres all the way through. I listened to a podcast called Wittertainment, and the description that they use is that it's like Gone Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Thematically and genre-wise, cannot pick what it's doing, but it works. It's not usually like that where you watch it and you're like, what is this? This is a mess. It doesn't know what it's doing, but it works. Like, it runs really well, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I genuinely cannot wait until it comes out on DVD so that I can watch it again. Those are my kind of favourite films of the year. What have you watched this year that you really liked watching? Do you have any film recommendations? My back catalogue of film watching is horrendous. I have basically not seen any of the things that everyone says you should have seen by the time you're like 20. And I, as always, will see you tomorrow.